And we also wanted to make sure that they were a little bit more versatile and portable. So we looked at the tablets. Is what we're now going to do is we're going to cut out a bunch of computers, and we're going to have portable tablets that we can take from our vehicles and move them into the stations and set them in docking stations. And I can have one at my desk, and when I go home for the weekend to do work, I can take my computer, my laptop home, and bring it back on Monday and dock it. So it's a really good, I think, a way to be more efficient and be more versatile. Some of the things that are going to happen is we're going to move away from air cards. I had a quick conversation with Scott Underwood from IT today. He estimated, 3 or 4 times a week that our officers bring the air cards in for their laptops. So what that does is that takes time away from not only his staff but my staff that's off the, they're out of their beats. They're standing there waiting for the computer to be done. Scott's people have to be pulled in. So even a short estimate of 30 minutes per repair, which is probably really, really quick. If you do the math, that takes an IT person and a police officer off the street for over 2 weeks throughout the year. So we're hoping that, but because we're going to move away from those, that is a positive thing for us. We're also going to repurpose some of the tough books that we have that we're not going to use in the field anymore. So we will deploy those to the Emergency Operations Center and also our command post. So we'll be able to have some more access there. As you see in the staff report, we did send it out for bids. Ironically, we only received 1 bid back from CDCE Incorporated, who also happens to be on the NASPRO national bid. So they actually didn't have to put in a bid, although they did. So we're covered not only with putting in bids and following our purchasing orders, but NASPO, because they're on NASPO, we don't necessarily need the bid. Let me think what else I wanted to touch on here. Funding is going to be from our 1819 COPS grant. Normally we use that for all kinds of different equipment and things like that to try to keep our stuff upgraded. A Major U fund balance from last year and a community corrections grant is going to also shore up the end of it. So I would be remiss if I didn't thank Scott from IT for working with us, also Crystal on purchasing, and Captain Brock, who's in the back hiding, who's actually the impetus behind putting the whole staff work together. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate the teamwork. And so tonight the recommended action would be to approve the procurement for 72 mobile computers and related hardware for the police department capable of utilizing Windows 10 as an operating system from CDCE Incorporated. Authorize the interim city manager to approve purchase orders in order to support this purchase and adopt the resolution. So with that, I'll take any questions. Or
Clerk, are there anyone wishing to speak on this item from the audience? Thank you. How about council? Any questions or comments?
Thank you. I didn't do a lot of it, but thank you.
Thank you, Captain Brock. Thank you, Scott.
So, and we certainly appreciate the external funding that was acquired to make this happen. Now, what happens to the, do they still have the desktop computers?
So yeah, so we do have some desktop computers, but we're going to try to be moving away from those.
Yes.
So anyone that can, I mean, we will have some in the station. We still need some for our property and evidence that we need to be stable and keep those there. But for, like an example, for someone like me that takes, I have a laptop and I have a desktop now. So that doesn't really make sense. If I can, 2 kill birds with 1 stone and use a tablet, that makes a lot more sense. So that's what we're going to try to do.
Well, with that, if no one else has any questions or comments, I'd like to have a motion on this item.
I'll move over it.
Second.
Please vote. And motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, council. I appreciate it.
Wait.
Before you walk away, do you have an estimate in the savings of your internal service charges that you will have with the reduction in computer?
I'm sure that we'll have some conversations with the city manager and the finance director, but I don't at this point in time.
I don't know how many conversations we've had about internal service charges.
Okay, now with that, we'll move on to item 10, City Council and staff reports.
Okay. RCTC is tomorrow, and I'm sure we will have good conversation on that. One of the main items coming to the full board is a recommendation from the Future Funding Initiative ad hoc committee to close that ad hoc out and form a permanent standing committee which will develop a major transportation plan for Riverside County for the next 15 years. So if that is approved tomorrow, I'm going to put in to be on that committee, and let's be hopeful that we can get some ideas going forward on how we're going to mitigate traffic instead of building more roads that will only increase the traffic. Ramona Bowl Association, again, Boo at the Bowl is the end of October for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Riverside RTA.
Wait. You want to talk about the fundraiser?
No.
Okay.
Everybody's going. Well, yes, I will. Okay. The Ramona Bowl is in receipt of some very fine Chinese laundry, shoes, and bags.
Guys wouldn't know what those are.
Computer
but
bags
women
and
knows.
whatever.
Women knows the quality.
Vera Wang Chinese laundry. These are all very, very upscale shoes. And they've received a donation, and they are going to be having a sale this Friday and Saturday as a fundraiser for the Ramona Bowl. So if you want to go up there between the hours of something and something, it's during the day, and get Christmas and shoes. I mean, you can't go wrong on
And
shoes
laptop bags,
and laptop
computer
bags
bags,
and
purses.
purses.
And you can save anywhere from 75 to 95%. So guys, Christmas is coming.
Christmas is coming. It's awesome. They really got a good thing going here. So
Okay.
thank you for reminding me
Yes.
of that. RTA. With the, I'm going to kind of combine RTA and SCAG at the same time on this. With the resignation of Brandon Lane as chair and first vice chair of both of these agencies, other people have been appointed, and for RTA, the board appointed Bridget Moore to fill out, from Wildemar to fill out the end of Brandon's Lane's first year, and also to serve next year. And with SCAG, the regional committee appointed Clint Lorimore from Eastvale as second vice president to fill that slot. I'm blanking on the library board. Okay, Kathy says nothing. The California League of Cities, the golf tournament is this Friday. We have a couple golfers sitting up here. And let's see. Also with SCAG, we're in the midst of doing the RHNA, the Regional Housing Needs Assessment numbers, which are coming out extremely negative for our area. So that's going to be in conversation going forward for the next couple months, because at this point, depending on option 1, option 2, or option 3, we would get hit with up to 6,000 plus dwelling units to be built in the city by, 2027, 2025, which is completely ridiculous. Water Master, we met last week, going over the budget for the coming year. There will probably be a need to increase the assessments that Water Master assesses to the 4 agencies. We'll have more of that when we come back at the next meeting. We're looking at maybe desilting the gravel pit out at Saboba, and of course adding more waters to the recharge ponds. The if I can, I'll report. Investment Oversight Committee met on September 16th. No, that's the next one. We met on August 23rd. We were supposed to meet on the 21st, but that didn't pan out, so we met 2 days later so that we would be in compliance with Brown Act notification, and we went over all of the reporting, and our next meeting is on September 16th. That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Byer.
All right. The most exciting thing that I did this since we met last, was
the Hemet Police Department's first Citizens Academy. So that is amazing. It's a 10-week commitment, and I thought that was going to be crazy, but I can't wait to go back tomorrow and see the next.
I'm signed up for that, and Chris, when I was on vacation, I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah, it's good, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of people, as it's catching on and they figure out, it's pretty important for them
Yes.
to understand the details of what is going on in our police department, and it's more knowledge than just is advertised. So
I've heard it's going very, very well, and the information, some of the information was even a surprise by some of the staff that was there. So things that they learned as well. So great, and I'll see you tomorrow on that. Councilmember Percival.
Okay, so yesterday was RCA, no species of the month, because the young lady that goes over that had her baby just recently, so she wasn't there. But we did have a quite contentious meeting. The reason for the contention was the grand jury came out with a report for RCA that was, well, I don't even know what to say to be nice about it, but there was, some people said that RCA should just not submit the rebuttal or the response that was prepared because it was too harsh. Others said, let's just move on and not even reply, or thanks for your report and just move on. But ultimately, the motion that passed was that the response that was prepared by the executive committee of RCA was going to send that report for the response. There was a lot of misinformation in the grand jury report, which was unfortunate because I think RCA is doing a good thing moving forward for conservation land and being able to get property owners fair market value for their properties that they're purchasing, and getting through the entitlement process much quicker as far as endangered species as part of the committee she's on. RCHCA. So that's what we had that was most of the meeting. So it was about the grand jury report. If anybody's interested in reading the report, it is on the RCA website. It's quite a read. So that's
Thank
all.
you. Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
Okay. As alternate to Watermaster and RCTC
We've all
and
made it, right?
WRCOG, they all made it. I did attend on your behalf at the WCE board meeting on August 15th, and things are continuing to move forward on that project. No real specific details that I need to report on tonight. And I think all of us but our vacationing mayor were pleased to attend on August 23rd, the fire department's Ladder of Excellence, where we got to recognize newly hired personnel and promoted personnel. So it's always a great event, and it was very well attended by friends and family of our firefighters. And then, of course, we were all here, but Carly wasn't able to make it. She was there in spirit for the ribbon cutting of the Stetson Bridge this morning.
Yesterday morning.
Yesterday morning. Yeah. Yesterday morning. And I thank the staff and our interim city manager for coordinating that. It went very smoothly. Interesting side note on that, I mentioned to several friends of mine that the bridge is out opening, and somebody was anxious to go drive over it, and they said, I never saw the bridge. Because it doesn't look like a bridge anymore. It just looks like a continuation of the road. And I said, trust me, the bridge is there. So, very, very nice to see the completion of that project, long awaited.
And I was very happy to be able to take that way to work, like I had in the past, and shave 5 minutes off my time to work, so that was great. So, Planning Commission was canceled this last time. Western Riverside Council of Governments executive meeting was yesterday, and we had UCR presentation update on the census and on the 2020 census, and interesting that they found that Riverside County has a variety of, has some really challenges, and it's hard to count throughout the region for one reason or another. Pockets of homeless, just hard to get those census numbers. Outreach efforts are underway, and they are looking for full participation from all cities on that. We also, in SCAG, on the Environmental and Energy Committee, they had a presentation regarding electric vehicles again, charging stations, and recognizing that there are not enough charging stations for the number of cars that are being bought, electric vehicles being bought. So they're tasked to figure out why people aren't investing, cities, counties, commercial places that aren't investing in those charging stations. And I will add, there is money for those, so they really should look for that. I think they provide $9,500 per station, so that more stations can be implemented. Also on, I forgot on the WRCOG, there was a big discussion or a report on the PACE Renovate America stipulated judgment, and WRCOG staff had met with the DA regarding this early on, and what they realized is that they did a 2 or 3 year investigation, and they decided that there are 40 requirements of the PACE program to adhere to. And what was nice is that WRCOG, being the responsible agency that they are, they already had 14 of those 40 requirements in place. There are 19 modifications to be made on some of the requirements, and there are 7 new requirements. So I asked for an ad hoc committee to oversee these requirements. They have, Renovate America has 120 days to meet those requirements, and within that time, we have established, WRCOG has established an ad hoc committee to oversee that process and make sure that everything's followed to the T. So with that, I think I'm done. And so we have ad hoc committee reports, Florida Avenue, SR 74. And so I'll be happy to say that Linda Krupa and I and the interim city manager met in San Bernardino with Caltrans, and we had a very productive meeting on last Friday. So we'll be able to report more on that in the subsequent weeks. On the special events committee, funding ad hoc committee, where are we with that?
We've brought back our recommendations to the city, and we're working on the, I don't know, I guess there's details that the city staff has to work out that will build into the resolution, but we hope to have it here today, but it wasn't possible just because there's too many details that, I think that oftentimes things are left out, and we're just trying to make it thorough, so it's just done.
So near future.
Yeah, no, it better be next meeting.
I said near. Okay, interim city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few updates. With respect to the Florida Avenue median ad hoc committee, we did have the meeting on Friday. I'm going to be preparing a memo for the council. There's certain items that were discussed that I would like the council to weigh in on, and so I'll be preparing that for the next council meeting. In addition to that, I will be preparing a memo to the council as well as the public on the future agenda items. In my biweekly updates to the council, there's a number of items that are on there that I give you updates that are happening. I would like to prepare one for the public as well so that everyone knows where we are, and I can prepare that information as well. And then finally, WRCOG did meet yesterday. They did talk about RENA. They had a few different methodologies that were put forward there, and the consensus from all the member cities was that they not select any specific option, and they just voiced their concerns, and collectively all of the member agencies did weigh in on that and agree that they didn't want to select any of the options, but just put forward their concerns and the items that they wanted to see moving forward. With that being said, that is all I have, Mayor.
Okay. On item 11, future agenda items.
Before we go there, I do want to make a comment on that. We made corrections to the minutes. The use of the city seal was placed on the future agenda items as a mistake because the council didn't weigh in on that. But if it would like to be added, of course.
And that
the
actually
council
should
can.
be revised to say city logo policy and uses. To review city logo policy and uses. Because it's really the logo and not the seal that we're really talking about.
Can I add to that? Because there's something else that we could probably incorporate with that entire thing and look at, and that's the city council protocols that I think were last updated in 1998 or 1996, something like that. And I would think the use of the seal or logo or whatever should be in the city protocol or council protocols. So we might as well just look at that document and update it all at the same time.
So with that, we need a motion, or we need a motion and...
I would make the motion that we look at to update the city council protocols incorporating usages of,
City logo,
it may be even
policy.
in there, I don't know. But use of city logo and city seal.
Do you have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that. It makes sense to not piecemeal
Right.
any of that. If we've got protocol policy document that's that dated, it needs to be revisited, so
Right.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
Please vote. And that's approved by 5-0. Any other future agenda items?
I don't have an agenda item, but I do want to make a comment about the RENA report and Chris's response to that. I read through your response, and I was very impressed with the response and that you made, and I'm glad to hear that moving forward that there was no option that was chosen.
Right.
Because it was, when I read through that, I was like, holy cow, this is great. So thank you for your response, and I was very impressed with what you had in there.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Nelson for taking the lead on that. So thank you, Nelson.
Yeah. If I could, Nelson did a real good job on that. As somebody with experience with RENA numbers for several years, I attend the SCAG RENA subcommittee meetings, not as a voting person, but just as a listening person. Rusty Bailey, the mayor of Riverside, and Russell Betts, council member from Desert Hot Springs, are the delegate and the alternate at that subcommittee meeting. The next one of those meetings is October 3rd. It's the first Monday of October anyway. And we meet at the SCAG building in Riverside, so it's closer. Pardon? Well, it's whatever, maybe it's the second Monday, but it's in October anyway. We're going to be meeting there, and all of the letters that have been submitted to SCAG, I'm sure we'll be going over at that point. And there were, from what I've heard from other cities in other parts of the SCAG region, is that most of the cities are not happy with the options that were put forth. Because it's extremely harmful and detrimental to local government and local planning and all our communities. So, one of these days we're going to agree that if you want smaller communities in the Inland Empire to build massive amounts of housing, then you better move the jobs out here too, so we can eliminate the congestion on the freeways. So, but that takes common sense.
Okay. If there's no other items to discuss, then we'll go on to our closed session. Recess for closed session. I want to thank you all for attending tonight, and we'll be back after closed session.